All right, how's everyone doing? I am Rich CELENZA. Thanks for tuning into the Rich CELENZA show. So, what I want to get into today is actually when, when dating in general. I think a lot of people get caught kind of dating somebody for a certain amount of time. And then in time, even though you like one another, you may even love one another, but you may not feel mature enough to be in a serious relationship. Or I shouldn't say necessarily just mature, but it is something that you just don't want to be involved in. And I think a lot of men fall in this category. If you know anything about me, I wrote a book called Wingman. I also have a program called Mastering Self-Confidence, and they're both really to help men find the woman or women of their dreams, even if they've been through a bad breakup or divorce. And I think what kind of, to a certain point, destroys a lot of relationships is not being honest or telling somebody, where you stand when dating somebody. I think a lot of times when dating, especially for a substantial amount of time, and it could be 6 months or a year, people start to think it needs to get serious or we need to start taking things to the next level, which if that's what you want to do, God bless. But I also think, and this goes for men and women, that a lot of times, again, you may not be mature enough or interested in taking things very serious. But I think it's almost something that is expected. And I'm here to tell you, when it comes to a relationship in general, the only relationship that really matters is your own, but the rules that you create have to work specifically for you. But I do think a lot of us have been programmed to a certain degree to say, hey, if we go on X amount of dates, that means sex. If we date X amount of years, that means we need to get engaged. If if we're married X amount of time, we should have children. If we do this should be that. And all those type of things, which I get. But I think a lot of that's bullshit. Even if you live together, for instance, if you live together for a certain amount of time, you should be doing this. Again, these are all rules and regulations, I believe, that are made up and that have been programmed inside of us to make us think that if we follow these rules, it's going to be better for us, or that is the way on how to do things. And if you don't do them, things are going to end up wrong or not right, I guess, to a certain degree, which again is ridiculous. But I do think a lot of times, too, when it comes to relationships, that timing is off a lot more than people know. And sometimes maybe you may have dated somebody. And I'll just take a dude, for instance. Let's use him for an example. He may be younger, or he may be just somebody, at that point in time in his life, just dating, not looking to, be in a really strong relationship. And then he ends up being with somebody for a certain amount of time. And then, maybe whoever he's with wants things to get more serious, and he just doesn't want it. He's just not prepared for that. They end up breaking up. But then as time goes on, a couple years later, he may be, now in turn looking to be in a relationship. And, sometimes I think dudes don't want to admit it. They, like women or anybody, you think you blew it with somebody. You may actually want to reach out to somebody you previously dated that you really kind of got along with really well. Because I think sometimes, unless that person's with somebody, if they're with somebody, obviously don't bother them. But if you could do your research, because I think, again, and this could go for a woman as well, you may have dated somebody for a long period of time. You may have had a move. You may have had to change careers, or you just weren't interested at that point in time in getting serious, moving in with somebody. Whatever the case may be, again, the timing was off. You might want to go back to that person, and again, if they're single, and maybe express maybe starting over, or at least just meeting one another, having coffee, going to dinner, whatever the case may be. Because again, I think what happens with a lot of people is just because one relationship, or a relationship in general didn't work out at a certain time, doesn't necessarily mean it can't work out later. And I know you see this a lot too with Facebook, people rekindling all the time, like, they get divorced and they find someone else and blah, blah, blah. I get those type of stories too, which is fine. But I'm just talking about just in general, really recognizing too what frame of mind are you in this relationship? And if it doesn't match frequencies or it doesn't match kind of each other's lifestyle, take an honest approach at that. There's always kind of an elephant in the room a lot of times I see with relationships, in my opinion. One may want to get engaged, the other one doesn't. One wants to do something, the other one kind of does it. You could kind of always feel that when it's, kind of going on, even amongst friends and family members and all that. And it's pressure. And instead of just talking about it and saying, hey, this is where I'm at. I don't mind living with you. I'm not in the mood to get married. Just saying. Say it outright. Or, hey, I have a job opening in another city or state. I'm going to go there. I do want to have a long-distance relationship. I plan on just being faithful to you, but I don't want you moving there with me right now. I want to see how things goes. If they work out, I'll either come back, or you could come to me, or I could come back here, or I don't know what else to tell you. Again, that may be harsh, but I think most people try to fluff things and kind of make themselves crazy and try to make things a lot of times work out that are working out for them, but not the other person, but kind of almost manipulate things. Now, you could do whatever you want, but I just think these are some things that I've been thinking about regarding some things that I heard. But I really do think when it comes to relationships in general, a lot of times timing is off. And it's not just about you. And this isn't about somebody cheating on you. This isn't about somebody hurting you or stealing from you or doing something to hurt one another. It's just each person in their life is at a different place than the other. And sometimes it's hard to understand what somebody else is going through or what they've gone through in the past. But if you kind of talk things through, and even if, again, it being the wrong time, if someone, a woman or a dude says, hey, I really want to concentrate on my career here right now. I need to, figure out some things on my end. That doesn't mean that it has to end harshly. It doesn't necessarily mean that it has to end at all, like at the point where we can never come back and revisit this. I think if you truly love one another, you will give each other the space to figure, things out. Because sometimes just, again, what you want and what the other person wants just doesn't line up. And that's just a reality of life. Things don't always work out perfectly. So anyways, I am going to wrap it up there. If you like, I try to help dudes, like I said earlier. You could check out my book, Wingman. And if you can't even afford to buy the book, hit me up. I'll send it to you for free. I just want to help guys, especially if you like to read. It's not too long of a read, but it's got a lot of information on there on identity, wardrobe, relationships, dating advice, all these different types of things. Same with my program. That's masteringselfconfidence.com. So, yeah. That's all I got for you today. If you want, you can check me out on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I've been also giving a lot of advice, mainly for men, on YouTube. So you might want to check that out as well. I've been doing a lot of things. I actually just posted something regarding finding the right cologne for men, finding the right type of glasses or shades. What else was I doing? How to find the correct wardrobe. I do a lot of fitness-orientated things. I did a New Year's resolution thing. That's kind of full of shit. That's kind of funny in a way. But, yeah. All right. I wish you nothing but the best. Take care.